Peppa Goes Camping. Today, Peppa and George are very excited. They are going on holiday. Daddy Pig has a surprise. It's a camper van, grunts Daddy Pig. Wow! Gasp Peppa and George.
We're going on a holiday,
Sings Peppa.
we're going on a holiday in our camper van.
Says Daddy Pig, looking at the map. Daddy Pig, cries Mummy Pig, are we lost? Well, begins Daddy Pig. Yes. Grandad Dog and Danny Dog arrive.
Hello,
Calls out Peppa.
we're lost.
Lost? Asks Grandad Dog, confused. Is your sat-nav broken? Peppa, George, Mummy and Daddy Pig don't know what a sat-nav is. Sat-nav is a computer that helps you find your way, explains Grandad Dog. Welcome to the car of the future, bleeps the sat-nav.
Can you tell us where to go?
Asks Peppa. Go straight, replies the sat-nav. Daddy Pig thanks Grandad Dog and the family continue on their way.
We're going on a holiday,
Sings Peppa.
we're going on holiday in our camper van.
Suddenly the camper van is low on oil, but Daddy Pig can't find the engine. Mummy Sheep and Susie Sheep arrive in their car.
Hello, Susie.
Cries Peppa.
We've lost our engine.
Lost your engine? Replies Mummy Sheep. I don't know a thing about engines, says Mummy Sheep, but I'll have a look. I'm probably wrong, but this looks like an engine, says Mummy Sheep, lifting the boot. Well spotted, Mummy Sheep, gasped Daddy Pig, pouring oil into the engine. Daddy Pig thanks Mummy Sheep, and the family are off again.
Are we nearly there yet?
Asked Peppa, sighing. Just up the next hill, says the sat-nav. You have reached your destination, says the sat-nav when they get to the top of a steep hill. Hooray! Everyone cheers.
Time for bed.
Says Mummy Pig. Peppa and George put on their pyjamas.
But where will we sleep?
Asked Peppa. Mummy Pig and I will sleep on this bed, says Daddy Pig, pressing a button. Ta-da! A lovely big bed appears in the room. And you two will sleep upstairs like you always do, says Mummy Pig. Watch this, says Daddy Pig, pressing another button. Brrr. Suddenly the camper van's roof lifts up and a bunk bed appears. Daddy Pig tucks Peppa and George into bed.
The camper van is just like our little house,
says Peppa. Good night, everyone, says the sat-nav. Sleep well. The end. Peppa goes to hospital. Today, we are going to visit Pedro Pony in hospital, Madame Gazelle tells the class. Pedro's leg is broken and the doctors are mending it. Peppa has never been to the hospital before.
Except when I was born, of course,
Peppa says.
I'm wearing my nurse's outfit,
Susie Sheep says.
because hospitals are very serious.
But when the class arrives on the children's ward, the walls are full of colour.
Ooh,
They all say as they set off to find Pedro. Pedro is in bed with his leg in a plaster cast.
does it hurt?
Zoe Zebra asks.
It did at first,
Pedro says.
but not anymore. Do you want to draw on it? What's it like being in hospital?
Asks Peppa.
It's great,
Replies Pedro.
Nurse gives me stickers and comes whenever I press this button.
Another nurse comes over with a trolley. Lunchtime, she says.
Spaghetti and sponge pudding, please,
Says Pedro.
Wow, you get to eat in bed,
Gasps Peppa. Dr. Brown Bear visits Pedro. You're nearly better and ready to go home. The bell rings. Visiting time has ended.
Get well soon,
Wave the children. A few days later, Pedro is back.
Where is your plaster cast?
Asks his friends.
My leg is all better. It's a super leg now.
Pedro says.
Thank you for visiting me in hospital.
The end. Peppa loves Easter. It was Easter time, and Peppa and her friends were busy making bonnets at playgroup.
My bonnet has eggs, flowers, feathers, and a chocolate magic paddle.
Peppa said proudly.
Mine has lots and lots of carrots on it,
Said Rebecca Rabbit. What wonderful bonnets, children, cried Madame Gazelle. Well done. After the children put on their bonnets, Madame Gazelle said, This Easter, Miss Rabbit has an exciting surprise for you all.
Is it an Easter egg hunt?
Asked Peppa. Not exactly, replied Madame Gazelle, but there are some eggs.
Is it an Easter bonnet competition?
Asked Mandy Mouse.
Mine is made of cheese.
No, not this year, replied Madame Gazelle. But you can wear your lovely Easter bonnet if you like.
Yippee!
Cheered Mandy.
What is the Easter surprise, Madame Gazelle?
Asked Peppa. Miss Rabbit has organized an Easter extravaganza for everyone, said Madame Gazelle. Ooh, gasped the children.
Wow! But what is an Easter extravaganza, Madame Gazelle?
Asked Peppa. You'll find out very soon, Peppa, said Madame Gazelle. I will be taking you to the Easter extravaganza after playgroup. Mummy and Daddy Pig are coming to help too. Hooray! Cheered Peppa and her friends. By the end of the day, all the children were very excited. Make sure you take one of these, said Madame Gazelle, giving them each a little basket to carry. You'll need them for the Easter extravaganza.
Thank you, Madame Gazelle,
cried the children. Are you ready for Miss Rabbit's Easter extravaganza? asked Mummy Pig.
Yes,
cried the children, running down the hill. When they reached the bottom, Peppa George and their friends spotted a sign with a cupcake on it. Oh, I wonder what that is, said Daddy Pig in a mysterious voice. Shall we follow it?
yes, please.
Everyone cheered. The children followed the sign to a stall where they could decorate.
Easter cakes,
gasped Peppa. Yummy, said Daddy Pig. Everyone had fun decorating the cupcakes, and then they put them in their baskets.
But where is Miss Rabbit?
asked Peppa. She looked around and spotted a sign with an Easter card on it.
It must be a trail,
she said. The children followed the trail until they found lots of lovely Easter cards to make. When they finished the cards, they put them in their baskets.
Miss Rabbit isn't here,
said Edmund the Elephant.
Perhaps we should follow that sign with an egg cap on it.
The children followed the trail to an egg cup decorating area. Then they followed some flower signs to a little meadow full of colourful spring flowers.
They're so pretty,
gasped Peppa.
I can't still see Miss Rabbit,
said Mandy.
but that sign over there has a little chick on it. Let's go.
The children followed the trail until they found Granny and Grandpa Pig and their adorable little chicks.
Ah,
cried the children.
they're so fluffy. And so cute,
said Peppa. Hello, Peppa, said Granny and Grandpa Pig. Are you enjoying Miss Rabbit's Easter extravaganza?
Hello, Granny and Grandpa,
said Peppa.
Yes, there are so many amazing things to see and do.
After she had petted every cute little chick, Peppa looked around.
There's a sign with a very big Easter egg on it,
she cried.
This way.
Peppa and her friends continued along the trail until... Wow, said the children, spotting the most enormous egg they had ever seen.
What's inside?
Peppa gasped. The children tried to guess what might be inside the enormous egg.
I think it's a really big carrot,
said Rebecca.
Dinosaur! Arr!
Roared George.
It's an alien from Mars,
said Danny Dog. Suddenly, there was a loud crack, and out hatched Miss Rabbit! Surprise! she cried, popping out of the giant egg with treats for everyone.
I hope you enjoyed my Easter extravaganza.
It was excellent, Daddy Pig chuckled. It certainly was, added Mummy Pig. Everyone thanked Miss Rabbit for their yummy treats and for her fantastic Easter extravaganza.
Happy Easter, Miss Rabbit,
cheered Peppa and her friends.
Happy Easter, children,
said Miss Rabbit. Peppa loves Easter. Everyone loves Easter. The end. Peppa Pig Easter Egg. Peppa and her friends are at Rebecca Rabbit's house for an Easter egg hunt. "Let's go and wait inside," says Mummy Rabbit. "The Easter Bunny is very shy and he won't come if we're looking." "Good idea. I'll be right in. I just need to check my carrot patch," says Mr. Rabbit. "No peeking," Mummy Rabbit tells the children. Mr. Rabbit returns from outside.
Daddy, did you see the Easter Bunny?
Asks Rebecca. "No, but I am sure he must have been by now," he says. Mummy Rabbit leads the children out of the rabbit hole. "Can you find all the eggs the Easter Bunny has hidden?" she asks. "Ready, steady, go!" Everyone finds an egg. "Wait, what's that over there?" asks Peppa. "I think it's the Easter Bunny." The children quickly creep towards the rustling bush. Suddenly, Rebecca jumps out of the bush, laughing.
"I'm not the Easter Bunny, I'm Rebecca Rabbit, and I found an egg,"
she cries.
"We've all found eggs,"
says Peppa.
"Thank you, Easter Bunny."
Peppa loves Easter eggs. Everyone loves Easter eggs. The end. Peppa Pig, digging up the road. It's a lovely sunny day. Peppa and her family are driving to the playground.
Hooray!
Is everyone ready? Asked Daddy Pig. "Yes!" shout Peppa and George. "And off we go," says Daddy Pig. Peppa and George love going to the playground. Oh dear, Daddy Pig has stopped the car. "Have we stopped?" "We're in a traffic jam," says Daddy Pig. George starts to cry. He wants to go to the playground. "Don't worry, George, the traffic is moving now," says Daddy Pig. Outs Mr. Bull. Mr. Bull has stopped the traffic again. "Oh no!" "What's the problem, Mr. Bull?" asks Mummy Pig. "Digging up the road," so Mr. Bull, says Peppa. "It's water coming out of the ground." "Yes, there's a broken part on the road and we're going to fix it," says Mr. Bull. "Will it take long?" Pig. "Will take as long as it takes," says Mr. Bull. First, Mr. Rhino digs a hole in the road with his digger. "A digger! A digger!" says George. George likes diggers. Next, Mr. Bull burns the water off. And a crane lifts out the old pipe.
Wow!
Then, crane puts in the new pipe.
"Crane, crane!"
That's George. George likes cranes. "Thank you for showing us your work, Mr. Bull," says Mummy Pig. "No problem," says Mr. Bull. Mr. Bull changes the traffic light to green. And off they go. Oh dear. George starts to cry again. He doesn't want to leave Mr. Bull. "We're going to the playground, George," says Peppa. "Then play diggers and cranes in the sand pit," said Mummy Pig. And we'll see Mr. Bacon on our way home, the pig. George stops crying. He likes going to the playground, especially when he can play diggers and cranes in the sandpit with Richard Rabbit and Edmund Elephant. Peppa and George have lots of fun at the playground. George, it's time to go, says Mummy Pig. George starts to cry again. He doesn't want to go home. Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig, Peppa and George set off in their car. No, stop! Shouts Mr. Bull. Is the water pipe broken again? No! This time it's a faulty electrical cable, says Mr. Bull. How do you mend a faulty electrical cable? We get up the road, of course, says Mr. Bull. Hooray! Cheer Peppa and George. Everyone loves it when Mr. Bull digs up the road. The end. Peppa Pig, Doctors. It is playtime. Peppa and Pedro Pony are playing in the garden when they hear a squeak from up in a tree.
What's that noise?
Asks Pedro. He looks up and gasps.
It's Tiddles the tortoise. Don't worry, Tiddles. We can get you down. I'll just shake this tree and...
Whoosh! Tiddles falls from the tree and bumps Pedro's nose on the way down.
Ouch!
Shouts Pedro. Madame Gazelle comes to help. Oh dear, what happened? She asks.
Tiddles fell on Pedro's nose,
says Peppa. Madame Gazelle calls the doctor. Dr. Brown Bear hurries over. Where is the patient? He asks.
My nose hurts,
says Pedro. Dr. Brown Bear gives Pedro a green plaster for his nose. That will make it better, says Dr. Brown Bear.
My glasses fell in the mud,
says Pedro. You'll need an optician to fix them, says Dr. Brown Bear. The optician arrives. It is Dr. Pony. He is Pedro's daddy. Can you please read this chart for me, Pedro? Says Dr. Pony.
I can't see. My glasses aren't working,
says Pedro. Dr. Pony spots the problem. These glasses just need a good clean, says Dr. Pony. He carefully wipes away the mud and gives the clean glasses back to Pedro.
I can see again,
says Pedro.
Thank you, doctors. Everything is back to normal,
says Madame Gazelle.
But Tiddles needs helping too,
cries Peppa.
Can you doctors help a tortoise in trouble?
asks Madame Gazelle.
I'm afraid not, but we know someone who can,
replies Dr. Pony.
I'll call them now.
Dr. Hamster the vet arrives.
Tiddles fell out of the tree,
Pedro tells Dr. Hamster.
Tiddles, you little pickle,
says Dr. Hamster. She flips him over so he can stand up again. All of a sudden, Dr. Elephant the dentist appears.
Hello, I heard there was an emergency. Are everyone's teeth okay?
He asks.
Yes, thank you,
everyone answers. Dr. Elephant sets off on his way.
My car won't start,
cries Dr. Elephant. None of the doctors know what to do.
I know who to call, says Madame Gazelle. Grandad Dog's breakdown service.
Grandad Dog arrives. He opens up the car bonnet and has a look. Right, now try the engine, he says. Dr. Elephant's car has been fixed.
Grandad Dog is a car doctor,
cheers Peppa. There are doctors for everything, even cars. Everyone loves doctors. The end. Peppa Pig The Museum. Peppa and her family are visiting the museum. Museums are full of interesting things that are very old, says Daddy Pig. Older than you? asks Peppa. Daddy Pig chuckles. Yes, even older than me, he says. Peppa and George want to know what's inside. One room is full of things that belonged to kings and queens long ago, says Mummy Pig. And another room has a real dinosaur, says Daddy Pig.
Wow.
Now George is excited. Inside the museum, they meet Miss Rabbit at the ticket booth. Mummy Pig asks Miss Rabbit for 4 tickets. George wiggles Mr. Dinosaur.
Dinosaur,
He cries.
and 1 dinosaur.
Says Miss Rabbit. Mummy Pig spots something very shiny. Look, Peppa, this is a queen's golden crown, says Mummy Pig.
Wow,
Says Peppa.
if I were a queen, I would eat as much cake as I wanted,
Says Peppa. She would be Queen Peppa with a sparkly dress and a crown with jewels and a big slice of chocolate cake. Peppa pretends she's a queen sitting on a throne. Daddy Pig, Mummy Pig and George all bow to Queen Peppa. Is there anything else you would care for, Your Royal Highness? asks Mummy Pig.
More cake, please,
replies Peppa. It's lots of fun pretending. Next, they all go to the dinosaur room.
I can't see a dinosaur,
Says Peppa.
it must be very small.
Daddy Pig explains that the dinosaur is very big. Peppa and George look up to find a huge skeleton.
Wow.
These are the bones of a real dinosaur, says Daddy Pig. George shakes Mr. Dinosaur at the skeleton and growls as loud as he can.
Dinosaur,
Shouts George. George pretends to be a big dinosaur. He's a Georgosaurus.
roar!
Shouts George.
Help, it's a dinosaur!
Peppa laughs. It's fun to pretend. After looking around the museum, Mummy Pig, Daddy Pig, Peppa and George go to the cafe. The dinosaur room was George's favourite room. Peppa loved the Kings and Queens room. It looks like Daddy Pig is in his favourite room, says Mummy Pig. The room with the cakes in it. The end. Don't worry, Peppa. Peppa and her family were going to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house for lunch. We'd better hurry, said Mummy Pig, or we'll be late. Don't worry, we have plenty of time, said Daddy Pig. Besides, we're always early.
Yes, don't worry, Mummy,
said Peppa. Then she whispered,
Daddy, what does worry mean?
Daddy Pig explained that a worry is something you feel unsure about. It's when we think something not so good might happen.
But we're always early, said Peppa. And Granny and Grandpa won't mind even if we are late.
No, I'm sure they won't, said Mummy Pig.
So you don't need to worry then, Mummy, said Peppa.
You're right, I don't, said Mummy Pig. Thank you, Peppa.
Hooray!
As they were getting ready, Daddy Pig told Peppa that the best thing to do when you have a worry is to tell someone. Share your worry with us, said Daddy Pig. Then, poof! Just like magic, it will disappear. I shared my worry about being late, said Mummy Pig, and it disappeared. Exactly, said Daddy Pig. Oh, look at the time. We'd better get going, or we might actually be late. Outside, Daddy Pig spotted a grey cloud in the sky. He said, I think I might put the car roof on.
Why, Daddy?
asked Peppa.
I like the roof off. It's so whooshy in the wind.
I like it off too, Peppa, said Daddy Pig, but I'm worried it might rain and we'll get wet.
Don't worry, Daddy, said Peppa. If it rains, you can put the roof up then.
Yes, I suppose I could, said Daddy Pig.
So you don't need to worry then, Daddy,
said Peppa. No, not at all, said Daddy Pig. Thank you, Peppa.
The best thing to do with a worry is to share it, Daddy, said Peppa. Then, poof! Just like magic, it will disappear.
Daddy Pig laughed. Ho, ho, ho.
Hello, little ones,
said Granny Pig when they arrived.
Are we late for lunch, Granny?
asked Peppa.
You don't need to worry, you're always early,
said Granny Pig. Peppa looked at Mummy Pig and smiled.
See, Mummy?
She whispered. Mummy Pig winked. Peppa and George ran out into the garden. Hello there, called Grandpa Pig. He was in his shed making a toy racing car for Peppa and George to play with.
Wow, wow,
cheered George. Peppa hopped in the car first and rode around the garden. She went up and down the hill, squeezing the horn. Toot toot. When it was George's turn to drive the car, he wasn't too sure. What's wrong, George? asked Grandpa Pig. You look a bit worried.
The best thing to do when you have a worry is to share it, George, said Peppa. Then, poof, just like magic, it will disappear.
George pointed at a hill.
I think George is worried about the hill, Grandpa,
said Peppa.
Well, that's easy to sort, said Grandpa Pig. Let's take the car to a flatter part of the garden.
Woo, woo, cheered George, zooming around in the car. Soon, he even felt fine about the hill and raced down it as fast as he could.
I don't think George has a worry anymore, Grandpa, said Peppa.
No, said Grandpa Pig, trying to keep up with George. I don't think George has any worries at all. When they'd finished playing, Grandpa Pig, Peppa and George went inside for lunch.
Yummy,
cheered Peppa.
This is delicious. Thank you, Peppa, said Granny Pig. I tried a new recipe and was a bit worried how it would turn out. The best thing to do when you have a worry is to share it, Granny, said Peppa. Then poof, just like magic, it will disappear. That's very true, Peppa, said Granny Pig.
As it was such a lovely afternoon, Granny Pig suggested they eat their cake in the garden.
Look at that, said Mummy Pig. Not a cloud in the sky, Daddy Pig.
Yes, said Daddy Pig, smiling.
Why don't you all go outside and I'll bring out the cake, said Grandpa Pig. Can I help, Grandpa? Asked Peppa. Of course, Peppa, replied Grandpa Pig. That's very kind. Can I carry the cake, Grandpa? Asked Peppa. It's a bit heavy, said Grandpa Pig, but why don't you carry this very special plate instead?
Grandpa Pig went outside with the cake and Peppa followed. She felt proud to be carrying the very special plate.
Hooray!
But just as she was about to step outside, she bumped into a chair and dropped the plate.
Oh no!
Peppa cried, looking at the broken plate. When Peppa walked outside, her tummy felt a bit wobbly. But then she remembered what Daddy Pig told her.
I have a little worry, Grandpa,
said Peppa.
Well, why don't you tell me all about it so I can help you, said Grandpa Pig.
Peppa told Grandpa Pig about the broken plate.
And it's your very special one, she said sadly. I'm sorry, Grandpa. Don't worry, Peppa, said Grandpa Pig, giving her a big cuddle. That plate doesn't matter at all. What matters is that you're okay. Thank you, Grandpa, said Peppa, and poof, just like magic, Peppa's little worry disappeared.
Hooray!
Peppa showed Grandpa Pig where the broken plate was so he could clean it up, and then they went back outside. Peppa felt much better.
Could I have a really big slice of cake, please, Granny? She asked.
Remember, Peppa, said Daddy Pig, the best thing to do with a cake is to share it.
Yes, Daddy, said Peppa, giggling. I've shared my worry, and now I'll share the cake.
And poof, just like magic, Peppa's really big slice of cake disappeared. The end. Peppa Pig, Babysitter. Mummy and Daddy Pig are going out for the evening. Granny and Grandpa Pig are babysitting Peppa and George.
Hooray!
Granny Pig, Grandpa Pig,
says Peppa happily.
Daddy Egg, Papa Egg.
George joins in. Good night, says Daddy Pig. Good night, says Mummy Pig. Now go to sleep quickly.
What little darlings, says Granny Pig, so well behaved.
Peppa yawns and Daddy Pig switches off the bedroom light. Mummy and Daddy Pig leave for their evening out. Inside the house, Grandpa and Granny sit down on the sofa. They share a tasty pizza.
This babysitting is easy, says Grandpa Pig.
In the bedroom, Peppa does not want to go to sleep.
George, are you awake?
She whispers. George grunts excitedly. Peppa laughs. She climbs down the bunk bed ladder and switches on the bedroom light. George picks up a spotted ball and bounces it to Peppa. She bounces it back. They both giggle. Soon there are toys all over the floor. It is so hard to go to sleep when playing is much more fun. Grandpa Pig and Granny Pig are watching TV. Peppa and George come downstairs to the living room.
George and I are not sleepy at all, says Peppa. Can we watch TV with you? I suppose watching a little TV might make you sleepy,
says Granny Pig.
Hooray!
The TV show is about gardening.
This program is very boring,
says Peppa, yawning. She suggests playing a game instead.
Grandpa, can you throw us up and catch us?
asks Peppa.
Okay, but just one turn each,
says Grandpa. Peppa laughs as Grandpa Pig throws her in the air, then catches her.
You seem heavier than before,
says Grandpa Pig.
Now it is George's turn,
says Grandpa Pig. George loves feeling like he's flying.
Hiya, hiya,
shouts George, as Grandpa Pig starts to wheeze.
Maybe Grandpa is a bit tired,
says Granny Pig.
Granny, let's play it, says Peppa. You're it.
Peppa taps Granny Pig on the nose. Granny Pig chases Peppa, George and Grandpa Pig around the sofa.
I'm going to catch you,
she cries. Everyone runs and giggles. Later, Mummy and Daddy Pig arrive back home. I hope our little piggies are asleep, says Mummy Pig. Peppa, George, Grandpa Pig and Granny Pig are all snoring on the sofa. The little piggies are asleep, whispers Daddy Pig, and so are the big piggies. The end. Peppa Pig, the fire engine. Mummy Pig is going to the Mummy's fire engine practice. It's just a good excuse for a cup of tea and a chat, says Daddy Pig. I'm meeting with the Daddy's football team and having a barbecue. That's just a lot of grown-up boys kicking a football around, says Mummy Pig.
Mummy, can we see the fire engine?
asks Peppa.
Fire engine,
says George. Yes, Peppa, I'll take you and George, says Mummy Pig.
Hooray!
Mummy Pig drives Peppa and George to Miss Rabbit's fire station.
Hello, Peppa and George, says Miss Rabbit. Come and see the fire engine. There's a ladder for climbing, says Miss Rabbit, a hose for squirting water, and a big bell to ring.
Miss Rabbit takes them into the control room to look for fires.
Wow!
Peppa spots a red phone and picks it up.
Peppa, that's the fire phone, says Miss Rabbit. It's only to be used when there's a fire.
Peppa puts the phone down. Suddenly the red phone rings. Miss Rabbit panics.
Fire station, where's the fire?
says Miss Rabbit. Can I talk to Mummy Pig, please? asked Daddy Pig. It's an emergency. I can't find the tomato ketchup anywhere. Miss Rabbit puts the phone down.
How many fires have you actually put out, Miss Rabbit? asked Mummy Pig.
None, replies Miss Rabbit. Not one fire, but you've got to be ready. The red phone rings again. Hello, Daddy Pig, says Miss Rabbit. This phone is only to be used when there's a... Fire! Shouts Daddy Pig. Oh no! Oh dear, Daddy Pig's barbecue is on fire. Mummies to the rescue, says Miss Rabbit. Miss Rabbit slides down the pole to the fire engine. All the mummies slide down the pole. Peppa and George hold tight and slide down the pole too. They all get into the fire engine. Miss Rabbit puts on the siren and drives them to Peppa's house. The fire engine arrives at Peppa's house. Stand back, daddies, shouts Miss Rabbit. Mummy Pig and Mummy Sheep hose down the barbecue. The fire is out.
Hooray!
Thank you for saving us, Miss Rabbit, says Daddy Pig. No problem, it's all part of the service, says Miss Rabbit. The Mummy's fire engine service, says Mummy Pig. And now that Miss Rabbit has kindly flooded our garden, says Daddy Pig, we can all jump up and down in muddy puddles. I love fire engines, says Peppa, especially when they make muddy puddles. The end. Peppa Pig, Emily Elephant. This is Peppa's friend Emily Elephant.
Hooray!
Emily is very talented.
Wow!
Emily knows how to play the recorder.
You can play, says Peppa, and I can dance.
Emily has a long trunk. She uses it to reach up high.
I can catch the basketball,
Shouts Emily.
Hooray!
I like having you on my team,
Says Peppa. When Emily wants to see Peppa, all she has to do is give her a call.
Wow,
Cries Peppa.
that was loud.
Sometimes Peppa goes out with Emily and her little brother Edmund.
We're going walking today,
Says Emily.
it's called hiking.
Says Edmund. Edmund is a bit of a clever clogs. Peppa has lots of fun with her friend Emily. When they first met, Emily was a little shy. But she is definitely not shy anymore.
Hooray!
Peppa loves Emily Elephant. Everyone loves Emily Elephant. The end. Peppa Pig, Tooth Fairy. Peppa and George are eating their favourite food, spaghetti. Suddenly, something falls onto Peppa's plate. What's that? Peppa cries. It's your tooth, Daddy Pig laughs. If you put your tooth under the pillow tonight, the Tooth Fairy will pay you a visit. She will take the tooth and leave you a shiny coin, says Mummy Pig. Good night, Peppa. Good night, George, says Mummy Pig. Good night, my little piggies, grunts Daddy Pig. Peppa puts her tooth under the pillow for the Tooth Fairy.
Let's stay awake all night and see the Tooth Fairy,
says Peppa. Giggles George.
George, where's the Tooth Fairy?
Peppa asks.
She's very late.
But George is so tired he has fallen fast asleep.
I'm not going to sleep. I'm
snores Peppa. When everything is quiet, something appears at the window. The Tooth Fairy has arrived, but Peppa is fast asleep. The Tooth Fairy pushes a shiny coin under the pillow and takes Peppa's tiny tooth. "Peppa, George, wake up, it's morning," says Mummy Pig brightly. "Did the Tooth Fairy come?" Daddy Pig asks. "No," says Peppa sadly. "Let's look under your pillow," says Daddy Pig. "Look, Peppa, the Tooth Fairy has been, and she's left you a shiny coin." "Hooray!" Peppa laughs. "Next time I will stay awake and I will see the Tooth Fairy." The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Fairy Tale. Once upon a time, Peppa and George were looking at storybooks together. "This one has 3 bears, porridge, and a hungry wolf looking for an old lady to eat," said Peppa. George looked worried. "Don't worry, George," added Peppa. "There's always a happy ending," sighed Peppa. "I wish we lived in a fairy story." "Peppa, George," called Mummy Pig. "It's time to go to Granny and Grandpa Pig's house for lunch. We're going to walk there through the woods." "But we want to go on a magical fairy tale adventure," said Peppa. "Maybe if we look hard enough, we might see some magical things on the way," said Daddy Pig. "This doesn't feel like a magical fairy tale place," said Peppa as they walked through the woods. "It feels a bit magical to me," said Daddy Pig, looking at the trees around them. "Yes," agreed Mummy Pig. "This is like the patch in the Little Red Riding Hood." "I wouldn't be surprised if we bumped into the big bad wolf," said Daddy Pig. Just then, Daddy Pig bumped straight into Mr. Wolf. "Oh, hello, Mr. Wolf," said Daddy Pig. "How are you?" "Very well," replied Mr. Wolf. "I'm just a bit hungry." "I'm going to my granny's house for lunch," said Peppa. "Are you really?" asked Mr. Wolf. "Well, I'll catch you later then. Bye." "That was just like Little Red Riding Hood," gasped Peppa. "Meeting Mr. Wolf in the woods." "I'm not sure which way to go now," mumbled Daddy Pig. "There's a little cottage over there," said Peppa. "Maybe someone inside will know the way." Peppa and her family walked through a rose garden and up to the cottage. "Hello," called Daddy Pig, knocking on the door. As Daddy Pig knocked, the door opened all by itself. "Is there anybody home?" asked Mummy Pig, wondering who would live in a cottage in the middle of the woods. Inside the cottage there were 3 chairs and 3 bowls of porridge. "That porridge looks delicious," said Daddy Pig. "I wonder whose it is." "Hello, Peppa," cried Belinda Bear, spotting her friend. "Hello, Belinda," said Peppa. "Oh, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Bear," said Mummy Pig. "Sorry to trouble you, but the door just opened, so we came inside." "That's quite all right," said Mrs. Bear. "It's lovely to see you all." "Are you going to stay for lunch, Peppa?" asked Belinda. "We're just having porridge, and it's not too hot, not too cold." "But just right," finished Peppa. Belinda and Peppa laughed together. "We're actually on our way to have lunch at Granny and Grandpa Pig's house," said Mummy Pig. "But we got a bit lost. Could you point us in the right direction, please?" Mr. Bear pointed the way, and Peppa and her family set off again.
Wow, said Peppa. That was just like Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
With a little cottage and 3 chairs, said Daddy Pig. And 3 bowls of delicious porridge. I may have had just a little spoonful.
Daddy!
Peppa giggled.
It's like we're in a fairy tale.
Peppa, George, Mammy and Daddy Pig followed the path through the woods to the bottom of a hill. I think we need more porridge to get up this hill, puffed Daddy Pig.
Don't worry, Daddy, said Peppa. We're going to have lunch soon.
When they arrived at the house on the top of the hill, Peppa knocked on the door.
Granny, we're here.
Everyone was very surprised when the door was opened by Mr. Wolf. "Oh!" they all gasped. "Oh, hello," said Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf, said Peppa, why are you here?
"I'm just round for something to eat," replied Mr. Wolf. "Granny Pig has made a lovely lunch. Granny Pig poked her head around the door.
Hello, everyone,
she said.
Oh, hello, Granny,
said Peppa, a little relieved.
We're very hungry after all our walking. Don't worry, Peppa,
said Granny Pig.
Lunch is ready now.
When Peppa stepped inside, she saw Wendy Wolf was there too.
Hello, Peppa,
said Wendy.
What have you been doing today? Hello, Wendy, replied Peppa. We've been having a magical adventure in the fairy tale woods. Ooh,
gasped Wendy. Everyone sat down to eat Granny Pig's delicious lunch.
Why was it a magical adventure?
asked Wendy.
It's like Goldilocks and the Three Bears and Little Red Riding Hood, said Peppa. Wow, gasped Wendy. I love fairy stories.
Everyone loved fairy stories. Yum, yum, said Mr. Wolf, tucking in. Everyone loved Granny Pig's lunch, especially hungry Mr. Wolf. The end. Peppa Pig, Peppa's Frosty Fairy Tale. Once upon a time, it was a cold and quiet winter's day. Peppa and George were playing indoors and making lots of noise. Peppa, George, called Mummy Pig, why don't you look in your box of books and pick a nice story to read? Peppa and George searched through the box and pulled out their favourite books. They giggled with excitement as they looked through the pages. Then Peppa danced all over the living room, pretending she was in a fairy tale. Snowman! Cheered George, holding his favourite book. Peppa and George loved stories. That evening, Granny and Grandpa Pig came over to stay the night. Hello, Granny and Grandpa, said Peppa and George. Hello, little one, said Granny Pig, giving them both a big hug. It's time for bed now, said Mummy Pig. Please can Granny and Grandpa tell us a bedtime story? asked Peppa. Of course, Peppa, said Granny Pig. We'd love to. Once Peppa and George were tucked up in bed, Grandpa Pig showed them a beautiful snow globe. Then he began to tell a story. Once upon a time, he said, there was a cold and magical place called Frosty Kingdom. How do you get to Frosty Kingdom? asked Peppa. First, you have to travel over the snowy hills, said Grandpa Pig.
Then you journey through a deep, dark forest. Finally, you must climb a huge mountain until you reach the winter castle at the very top. I bet the Sugar Plum Fairy lives there and a Snow Queen, said Peppa. Snowman, said George. Peppa and George loved Grandpa Pig's story. I wish we could go to Frosty Kingdom too, said Peppa, as she and George drifted off to sleep. In the morning, Peppa and George woke up to the sound of jingling bells. They peered through the window to find out where the noise was coming from. It's snowing, gasped Peppa, and Granny and Grandpa are outside with a big sleigh and 3 reindeers. Just then, Mummy and Daddy Pig came into the bedroom. Granny and Grandpa are taking us all on an adventure, said Mummy Pig. We're going to Frosty Kingdom. Frosty Kingdom was in Grandpa's story, said Peppa. We'll be needing these, said Mummy Pig, handing out winter coats and woolly jumpers. We're travelling by sleigh. Hooray! Cheered Peppa and George, jumping up and down. Everyone climbed into the sleigh, and they set off. Which way is Frosty Kingdom? Asked Daddy Pig. Grandpa Pig pointed far into the distance. First you have to travel over the snowy hills, he began. Then you journey through a deep dark forest, said Peppa. Finally, you must climb a huge mountain until you reach the winter castle at the very top. That's right, Peppa, said Grandpa Pig. After they went over the snowy hills and through the deep dark forest, they started to climb the huge mountain. Are we nearly there yet? Asked Peppa. Suddenly George saw something move. Snowman! He squealed. Everyone turned to see a snowman waving at them. Hello, said Peppa. We are on our way to Frosty Kingdom. Peppa and George waved goodbye, and the reindeers pulled the sleigh further up the mountain. Up the mountain they climbed, up and up and up, until the sleigh reached a clearing and the reindeer stopped. Are we nearly there now? Asked Peppa. I can't see the magical winter castle. I think we may be lost, said Grandpa Pig. I'm sure it was this way. Oh no, Peppa sighed. What are we going to do? If only there were someone here to help, said Grandpa Pig. Hello, Peppa and George, a voice said. Look, it's Miss Rabbit, said Peppa. Actually, Peppa, I'm the Sugar Plum Fairy, said Miss Rabbit. You're on the right path. Frosty Kingdom is further up the mountain. This is so magical, cried Peppa. The sleigh climbed higher and higher once more, and was nearly at the top of the mountain when, Welcome to Mr. Fox's official Frosty Kingdom shop, said Mr. Fox. Everyone hopped off the sleigh to take a quick look around. Daddy Pig loaded up a basket with sponges, telephones and wool. I'm sure these will come in handy at Frosty Kingdom, he said. Everyone piled back onto the sleigh and they set off yet again. Finally they arrived at Frosty Kingdom. We're here, announced Grandpa Pig. Peppa saw something sparkling up ahead. As they got nearer, she gasped. It's the Winter Castle, and there's the Snow Queen. Look, it's Miss... Hello, everyone, interrupted Miss Rabbit. I'm the Snow Queen. Welcome to Frosty Kingdom. Peppa and George waved and giggled excitedly. I wish we could stay here, said Peppa. Peppa, this is our cabin, said Grandpa Pig. We're going to stay here for the night. Wow! cried Peppa. This is the best Frosty fairy tale adventure ever. Thank you, Granny and Grandpa. Ho, ho, ho. You are most welcome, said Grandpa Pig, smiling. Peppa and George raced inside the cabin and looked around excitedly. It's like we're in your story, cried Peppa. Maybe we are, said Grandpa Pig, laughing. Peppa loved Frosty fairy tales. Everyone loved Frosty fairy tales. The